today is who can believe it? It's nearly we're nearly halfway through the year, which is just amazing, because I feel like I only just got back from leave at Christmas time and enjoying those festivities. But the years just keep on going faster and faster. But today's session is all about the preparation of the end of financial year and some of the things that you may not know how to do, or may just, given that it's been a year since you've done it, it's good time to just have a little bit of a reminder about some of the best practices when it comes to closing out the end of financial year. So we'll move on to the next slide, Janelle. So if you're a new joiner, because we typically are hitting around the 30 attendees for these sessions, but if you are a new person that's attending today, we've been hosting these sessions on a monthly basis. We try and host them on the third week of the month, so that we're not conflicting with end of month processing. And these sessions are to try and give tips and tricks on how to unlock Acumatica, the power of Acumatica for your business. So that's what we've been doing for the last sort of 7 months now. And we'll continue to do these sessions. And if anyone's got any feedback or want to see anything specifically on Acumatica, MYOB Acumatica, please reach out to myself or anyone in the support team. We'd be happy to take on any feedback and present those scenarios as well. Move on to the next one. So also some of these sessions that we will be hosting over the course of the year, and some of the sessions that we've done before as well, have also been integrating, or including our ISV. So that when we talk about ISVs that connect to MYOB, that's independent software vendors that join that actually connect into MYOB and provide value-added services. We've done sessions with WageLock, ProSpend, Trailed, and we've got other ones planned with other third parties as well. We've also got our own software, AlphaLink and AlphaPod, that connects into MYOB and helps. AlphaPod helps our clients with proof of delivery. So if you're in that wholesale and distribution sort of space and need a tool for pickups and also deliveries, we can present. We do have that as well. And AlphaLink is a middleware component tool that we can connect up other third-party systems that may not talk to MYOB at the moment. We move on to the next slide. So today you've got myself, who's is going to be sort of hosting the session. We do have Janella, who will be kicking off first. Janella is obviously our support team leader, and helps me manage the ever-growing team that we have. We're actually we've got 12 people in the support team now. So from where we started back 3.5 years ago when I first joined, the team has definitely grown considerably over that time. And then we've also got Mark. Many of you probably have dealt with Mark or speak to him on the phone on a regular basis. He's going to be presenting some of the sessions as well. Okay. So the objective today is to just understand the end of financial year workflows that you need to go through in MYOB Acumatica. What are the tasks that you need to complete? And how do you close the periods, generate all the reports, and reconcile your accounts? That's the main objective today, is to give you those tools so you feel comfortable. If this might be your first time closing end of financial year in MYOB Acumatica, or it might be your second or third time and just need a refresher, that's what all this session is about today. Move on. So Janella's going to take you through preparing the end financial year closing balances, and the best steps there. Then we're going to go through the finalisation of payroll year, review reconcile accounts and review reports, how to set up the new year and open the new period, and then close modules and the financial year and run those final reports, which obviously can for there. In saying that, if you guys are in the middle of it and this session is you forget about what we went through, you can always reach out to support and they can help step you through that process as well later when it comes a little bit close to the end of financial year. Or if you want to actually engage with us to help with that process, we can do that as well on a billable service. Okay, we'll just move on to the next slide.
So,
I'll hand over to Janella now.
All right. Thank you, Adam, for that. So first on the list of processes is preparation for your end of financial year. So before anything else, there is a big recommendation that we back up your data. And then this is the process that we'll be going through in the preparation stage. So we'll go through reviewing the plan for the lockout. So before you do the snapshots, you need to have a clear plan, schedule, and then create, and then what are the post snapshot tasks. First on the list is reviewing and the planning for the lockout. So when you say lockout, this means that locking out all users from the site itself. So we need this one so that nobody could make any changes during the time when we are trying to create a backup, right? So first, we need to communicate with our team. So the least is that to communicate it 30 minutes before the scheduled lockout, but it's best to plan it way ahead of time. For example, we plan it for Monday or perhaps a Friday. Then we advise the team or plan it already today so that they would be given the due notice for this. And for the user who would be doing the lockout or the creation of the snapshot, you need to have the following assigned roles. You must be at least an administrator, a lockout manager, and a snapshot user. So you have to make sure these 3 roles are assigned to you. Okay.
But just on that as well. So if you're not familiar with those terms, it's essentially doing a backup of the live environment. So this is, good practice to do, when you're going to be preparing the financials, is to actually do a snapshot of that, and it's essentially creating a backup of that live environment.
Yes. Good. Yep. All right. Next up is how do you do the lockout? So assuming that you already have those roles, you have already communicated it with the team. So there would be a notice when you try to log into the system that the site will go under maintenance, and that when would that lockout be happening? So for example, I'm now the user who would be doing the lockout. So this is the navigation path. So if you don't see this straight up, it would be on your more items. So go to this area, so system management and system maintenance. And then among the list is your schedule lockout. Clicking that would bring you to this schedule lockout screen. From this schedule lockout, you'd be able to see the time when you would be planning for the lockout, because that's why I said earlier it is very important to communicate it, right? Reason, so select snapshots, and then afterwards you can click the lock system. If you may ask, is it possible if I could cancel the lockout? Yes, you may be able to do so. So if, for example, there is a change of plans, you can just cancel the lockout and then reschedule it on another time. All right. Next up is how do we create the snapshot? So on the same section under system management and system maintenance, you would be able to see there the tenants. Okay. For this tenants, for the tenant screen, you'd be able to see this area. When the system is not yet on lockout, you would not be able to see this button. This button will be grayed out. When you are on the lockout already, so I'm the administrator and I set the site on lockout, I would be able to access or see this button as enabled from my end. So when you're doing a snapshot, click the create snapshot, and then a dialog box would open, and then you need to fill in the details. So you have to add what would be the description of the snapshot that you are preparing for. Export mode, meaning how would you like your data to be backed up? So you could select full, or you can also have settings only, but that is only for when you have to replicate a certain tenant in another test tenant perhaps. Okay. All right. When you're done, just verify everything, and if you're happy with that, click OK. So after doing the snapshot, what would be the next steps that you might need to, do? So first on the list was that you may need to change the visibility. The meaning of being able to change the visibility is that you can access it on other tenants as well while you're on the live. Okay, so if you click the change visibility, the name in here, oh sorry for that, the name in here would be not available anymore. So meaning you can go to the other tenants and you'd be able to use this and restore it when needed. Okay, all right. So another post snapshot task that you may need to do, which is very important, is not to forget to unlock the system. We have some clients before who tried to do a snapshot and then lock the system out and then missed to unlock the system. Make sure that you do this task, because if not, your users won't be able to log into the system. Okay, all right, so that is your preparation for your EOY. Okay, so perhaps the next step on the process is finalizing your payroll. Okay. So you might question, why would I do the finalizing of your payroll first? This is because the payroll information encompasses or crosses over multiple modules. So it may go through your AP as well and your finance with your journals. So how do we do the finalization of your payroll year? First, you need to verify your data. Second is that, if applicable, you need to do a reporting on your fringe benefits. Okay, and you may need to review your payroll reports, and do the most important thing is your STP finalization. So, right. First on the list, let's verify your data. So what are the things that you need to verify? First is that you need to review your ABN information and the contact details. You could find these two information in your payroll preferences. So if you need a guider, please just hand over a message to the team, and then we'll be able to guide you through this verification of your company data. All right. And then after reviewing your company informations, you need to run a validation to check if there is any discrepancy between in your company data. Okay. In the recent upgrade of MYOB, last 2023.1.3, there were a few new payroll reports that they have introduced. And these two reports are very important, because these two areas would be able to help you verify your current employee information. So especially with the taxation information, it would be appearing in here in the employee detail data. Your payroll employee payment information would be there. So these two things are just making sure that you have the most updated information that you have in your system. Another important thing that you may need to verify is your pay item liabilities. Often there would be times that we may create new pay items in the middle of the year, or perhaps before the end of the year. You need to review your pay item liabilities, especially for those items that needed your ATO category. Okay, so you need to map those correctly and see if some of the pay items may need your work cover, perhaps calculation, or your superannuation. So it is very important that you also have to check this area. So that's it for the verification of your company data in your MYOB. Okay, next up is reporting for your fringe benefits. So this area, yeah.
And I was going to pause there, just check if anyone has any questions or queries about what we've just gone through there.
Yeah, sure.
You're welcome to come off mute and ask. I'll take Silence is continue.
All right. Okay. Okay. So next up is this is an optional task. If your company do have fringe benefits that may need reporting, you may need to do this process. So this may take us a lot of time, but this is the summary on how we can do your fringe benefits. You can send us the email, perhaps with support. You can contact support for the summary or for the assistance in preparation for this French benefit requirement. So in summary, you just need to create new FBT items, a new pay group, and then to run it separately as a pay and submit the event to ATO. Right? So yeah, if you need help with reporting your French benefits, do send us an email at myobs.support@alphabiz.com.au. So yeah. With that, I might need to go to the next slide. So one of the most in demand perhaps reports that we have are payroll reports with the upgrade of MYOB in 2023 and the release of new reports. It's definitely a helping hand to all users. So these four areas of reports are something that you might need to do or review in order for your reconciliations to be done. So firstly, you may use the pay GL batch detail so that you could reconcile the information in that report against your finance module or your account details or trial balance. Okay? Second is you may need to review your superannuation reports. As you can see, these two reports are not available in older versions and was just made available last 2023.1.3. So if you're have an older version from that, it might not be available. So yep, but I think all sites right now are upgraded at least at 2023.1.3 or 2. So yeah. Third one is review government reports. So you have this new SCP transaction data report. And also, if you have work cover, you can use also this report to verify your work cover liability and expense. For payroll tax reports, you have these reports that you could use in verifying the reportable payroll tax liabilities. And there are other new reports that you can explore and then check. But basically, these are our recommended reports that you could use for your reconciliation. All right.
Janella, before you move on, there's just a question in the chat from Susan from Trax. She said that system lockout is not displaying in my menu list. Susan, it's just it could be that you don't have access rights to access the lockout screen. So we might need to provide you access to that screen specifically, but reach out to MYOB support email, or you can call and then we can help you get access to it.
Yep. Usually the schedule lockout, if it's not available on your access, you might be missing a role. So that's typically the lockout manager. So yep. And MYOB and the support team could help you assign that role to you. All right. Okay. All right. Any more questions? Perhaps. So I think silence means no more questions. So let's go to the last part of the payroll finalization. So this is now your STP finalization step. So with the STP finalization, you have three areas. So you have your STP finalize screen. Second is previewing or validating your STP finalization and submitting the STP finalization report. Okay. So when you have all your information in with your MYOB updated, we need to go to the payroll, and then on the single touch payroll section, you can see there the STP finalized. So this is now how the STP Finalise screen will be showing on your end. As you can see, you need to select the financial year from here. If you have like resigned employees or terminated employees, you can put a tick mark in here to include them in the finalization event. And when you did do this, all information will be showing from here. If you want to do an STP finalization by branch, you can do so as well by indicating in these parameters. Okay. After this one, so you would be able to see all the employees in here. Okay. Next up is that previewing or validating the STP finalization. In earlier versions of MYOB with payroll, there is no functionality about doing a review of your STP finalizations. I remember this one being raised by one of our clients, and then when MYOB have added this one to one of the upgrades, I remembered calling them and, hey, your request is already granted by MYOB, that there is a functionality now that you could do a preview for STP finalizations before submission. So to set this up, you need to go to the payroll preferences screen, having, the correct or the access to the screen, and then STP2, STP1, I believe, the section in here for the tab, and then you'd be able to see this box. You need to tick this so that you could go through and preview your STP finalization. So basically what happens is that if you can see from this last screen, you can see this submit finalization event. If you don't have that preview, this one is what you can see right now. Right. Okay, next up. Oh, sorry, going back to that screen. So this is how your screen for STP Finalise will appear if you have this one enabled. So it would be showing as preview finalization. So when you have already all the information and you have review the employees, just click the preview finalization and it will bring or open the manage STP submissions where you can review your employees or your company's STP data. So, right. So next up, after reviewing and validating, as I've said earlier, if that one is not enabled, this is how it will look like. However, if it is not, this is something that you could see. So it is good that they have added this functionality, so it's easier for you guys to also review your STP finalization. So, yep. So with that, that is how we do the finalization of your payroll year. Okay. Any questions? Okay. I think silence
Feel
means
free,
no.
feel free to come off mute, ask questions, or put questions in the chat or the Q&A. We'll answer them. Happy to answer and have some engagement with you guys on the phone.
I do have a question, please.
Yes, please.
Becky from Tim Davies Landscaping. So we spotted that preview finalisation last year, but had a query because when you create the preview, I don't know if it's been updated, but you can't amend anything. Once you preview it, nothing can be amended. So if you needed to change anything or update something, you couldn't do that after doing the preview. So that kind of felt a bit odd because you would do the preview, which would then alert you potentially to something not quite right, but then you couldn't do any updates before you had to submit. Is that still the case?
That might perhaps something that we could have a look at, Becky, and let's look at it offline, and then we'll update you whatever we come across with. Would that be fine?
Yeah, that'd be great. Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Beck. All right. Anything else, guys? I think there's being none. I'll just move to the next slide. So with completion of the financial year, you may now go through and review and reconcile accounts within your MYOB system. So this is a process that you could have a look at, and then review your accounts, reconcile your bank accounts, check your AP and AR, and run your initial reports. So an example for this process is that, for example, you're reviewing your AP, you could check your AP aging and compare it with your trial balance to confirm if those informations match. For your cash accounts, you can check your cash accounts and then compare your bank reconciliation against your trial balance and or your balance sheet. So that is this process. It's just a quick one. And yeah, I think this is the end of my turn. I'll be moving it over with Mark. Hey, Mark.
All right, thanks, Janella. Before
right.
I start with the finance in MYOB Acumatica, does anyone of you do a month end closing? Or do you do it quarterly? Or some of you maybe yearly, but that's a lot of backlogs. Nope.
Yeah, normally I do monthly.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, well, we encourage you guys to do it on a monthly basis. But yeah, if you have a company policy where you do it quarterly, that's fine. But yeah, as mentioned, it's best to do it on a monthly basis, so there are not much to do or to close. And then hopefully during the closing of the end of financial year, it'll be easy for you just to close that last financial year instead of doing more backlogs. So I'm gonna start with starting a new year. So this is where I'm gonna talk through a few more slides, but later on I'll share my screen and have a demo of how you close your books in the system. Not only closing your financial ledger, but also closing your sub ledgers such as AR, AP, fixed assets, inventory, and so on. So yeah, just to start, so starting a new year, you have to open a new financial year. What it does is it creates a new financial calendar year for the system, so you can post transactions for the succeeding periods after you close the financial year, the previous financial year. So you open up a new financial year, which I will show in the system later on, and then I'll show you as well how to open the first period on the next financial year. Next slide, please. So yeah, I'm gonna talk through closing all the modules. Like I said, all the subledgers from the banking or cash management. I'll show you how to do it from the inventory, receivables, payables. I'll also show you what reports you need just to validate, say, AP balance comparing to your trial balance. Same goes with the receivables comparing to your trial balance. And then we're talking about inventory, receivables, payables, fixed assets, and then preparing the BAS or the tax, and then finally closing the financial year, which then goes to your retained earnings. So all accumulated balance from the previous year will go to your will zero out your income and expenses in the beginning of the new year. So starting the period of the next financial year, all your balance sheet balances should go to that first period of the next financial year. Next slide, please. So yeah, cash management, or also known as banking in MYOB Acumatica. First, you need to verify and release all cash transactions. So those could be cash entry, funds transfers, and then all related banking transactions. You can release it in bulk, so you don't have to do it one by one. So that's a good way of starting to close your banking module. And then next is you can also finalize your bank reconciliation. So this is where you enter your last bank statement to see whether those transactions in the bank are also in the system, just to reconcile each other. And then we can also, the next step would be to validate the cash account balances. So there's a function in MYOB where you can recalculate account balances. And what it does is if you think you have some discrepancy in your cash accounts and it's not, the ending balance is not matching with your bank statement, the first thing you need to do is recalculate your cash account in the system, and that's via recalculate account balances in the banking module. So that's one good way to do if you found some discrepancy. I mean, we recommend you to do that, but sometimes it does take a while for it to process if there are a lot of transactions that you need to recalculate. But yeah, from the user perspective, if I don't see any discrepancy, I will not run that recalculation. It's fine because my account balances is correct. And then finally, I would just close the financial period in the banking module. So just the banking module, not the finance. Janala, if you go to the next slide, please. So in the inventory module, it's a bit of the same process that you do. You'll notice that there are steps here that are repeated from the previous closing, which is from the banking. So it is the reconciliation of your inventory with the general ledger, as well as your closing of the financial period in the inventory module. But in the inventory, what you need to do first is do a stock take. This is to make sure you have accurate stocks in the system compared to what you have in your physical stocks in the warehouse. So doing a stock take will help you identify if there are variances we need to adjust in our inventory cost. And as said, that goes the same with your inventory. And then if you go to the next step, it is the verifying and process the inventory transactions for the period. So that step is the same with releasing all inventory transactions in bulk. So you do it via release IN documents, where I will show it to you later. And then third is to reconcile the inventory account balance with the general ledger. So by doing this, you can run inventory valuation, and then you can compare it to your asset account. You can compare it to your inventory, which is your asset account in the finance. And then finally, you can close your financial period in the inventory module. Next slide, Janela. Sorry, if you do have any questions in the previous slide, feel free to butt in or put your questions in the chat. So in accounts payable, this is going to be like the same process with the banking as well as your receivables. What you just need to do in accounts payable is you just need to release AP documents that are posted in the financial periods in the year that you're closing. So say if you're closing the 2021 period, 2021 year, you have to release all your transactions in the 2021 periods as well. But to do that, you have to go to release all accounts payable. So that's under release AP documents in MYOB Acumatica. And then secondly, you can validate your supplier balances and match it with your trial balance. You can validate supplier balances if you do find some discrepancy in your AP account. And then you can reconcile your accounts payable account with your trial balance as well by running the AP balance by GL account or AP aging as mentioned by Janela a while ago. And then finally, you can close your accounts payable if you don't see any adjustments needed for accounts payable. Next slide, please. In accounts receivable, same steps. So firstly, you have to release all AR documents. So those are your invoices. It could be credit or debit adjustments. It could also be payments. You can do it from a release AR documents screen. Next is if you find some discrepancy in your customer balances, you see customer 1 and 2 is not right, you can recalculate their balances from recalculate customer balances form. Next is reconciling your accounts receivable with the general ledger. This is where you compare all your accounts receivable for all your customers, comparing to your GL account in the balance sheet or in the trial balance. And then finally, closing the accounts receivable as well in the managed financial period. So next slide. So fixed assets, I won't be able to show you how to calculate and process depreciation because that's going to take a while for the system to load. But in closing the fixed assets, you can calculate and process depreciation for the year. And then second, you can reconcile fixed assets account. So these are like fixed asset costs account against the fixed asset cost by class report. So there's a built-in report in the system. If you have a customized report where you can reconcile with your trial balance, then use that. And then also accumulated depreciation account against the FA balance report. And then finally, closing your financial period in the fixed assets. Next slide, Janela. And then preparing for business activity statement, or what we call BAS. So you can, so in the GST or tax module.
Sorry, Mark, just pause you for a sec because you got a question just on a previous slide from Susan. She said, can you please explain a bit more further what the validate recalculate function does before closing a period? Does it highlight any anomalies?
Yeah, so for example, you have customer A, and you think the balance for customer A should be 100K, but the system only shows 99,000. The first thing you need to do is recalculate account balances, because sometimes the system just needs to be, the customer account just needs to be refreshed. So to do that, you can just go to that screen. Does that answer your question? I think having a recording of this session will prove beneficial in July. Yep. No, the screen does not let you know if there is a variance, but you'll know that if, I mean, from the receivables perspective, you'll know that if that's incorrect, but the screen doesn't let you know if that's correct or not, because the system is just getting information for what you posted in the system. Cool. Which slide are we on, Janela?
All right, we're already on tax.
Yeah, so tax, well, there are a few clients who are still in cash basis in the GST. And there are just 2 steps that you need to do before you can prepare your tax or BAS in the system. So there are two screens. It's called Recognize Input and Recognize Output GST. And that is where you clear your pending GST accounts to your GST paid and the other GST accounts, GST collected. But if you're on accrual basis, what you just need to do to prepare for BAS is just prepare tax report from the taxes module, and then you can review those transactions. And if you're happy with it, you can release the document, and then generate a BAS report in the system. If you do find some discrepancy in the BAS, you think it's not right, then reach out to myobsupport@alphabiz.com.au, and then we'll be happy to assist you with that. So yeah, so reconcile your GST collected and paid accounts against the tax details by GL accounts report. Prepare your return from the prepared tax report. And then once you're once you're happy with the figures, you can release the tax report. Yeah, so next slide, Janella. And then finally, the closing of the financial module or the general ledger. Make sure all your GL transactions have been finalized. The screen where you need to go is release. I forgot what it's called, but it's release finance documents, I think. And then if you found some discrepancy in your GL accounts, then you can recalculate account history. And this is very typical during end of financial year where some of our clients, well, we've had issues in the past year where some of our clients found some discrepancy in their GL accounts. And to resolve that, we just go to recalculate account history. And then the GL account was correct. And then they can finally close their financial period. So Janella, if you go to the next slide, have you got a few more slides to share? Yeah, so just running the financial reports just for the finance team to review. I'm just hoping that everyone do a month-end closing because that really helps the business to make strategic business decisions, and just to see if your financial state is accurate as well. Okay. Just gonna share my screen. I'll show you how to close the financial year. Janella, can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yep, I can see it clearly on my end.
Yep. So I'm in my demo data. So I'm gonna start with the banking. So to close, sorry, I'm just gonna show you the setting of the GL preferences. Because in MYOB Acumatica, when you close the financial year, all your income and expenses goes to your retained earnings. And then your retained earnings ending balance should go to the beginning balance of your next financial year. So, and then as mentioned, all the balances from the balance sheet will also go to your first period in the next financial year. So this is a setting where you set your retained earnings account. You don't have to worry about this because our project consultant set this up before you go live. But just so you know, this is where it is. So if you go to banking, as mentioned, we have to make sure that all transactions in the banking module are released. So to do that, you can go to release cash transactions. Just for the purpose of this demo, I'm gonna close the 2021 period. And then you can see some transactions here that are 2023, 2022, 2024. These are irrelevant to closing of your 2021 period. So you don't have to worry about closing this. But in reality, if you're closing on a month-end basis, the transactions are always relevant to what you're closing. So I can release a few of these just to show you how it works. So I can either click release and that will release all the transactions that I've ticked. If you tick these three and you click release all, that will disregard whatever you selected. That will just release everything in the cash transactions. Just be careful when you click release. Your hands need to be good at this. Just click release if you feel happy. And then the system will just give you a pop-up message that these transactions are already released. Moving on, you can also, as mentioned, this is the screen where you recalculate account balances. Just say you found some discrepancy in beginning of 2021. Just select which cash account is that and click process. The system will recalculate your account balances for this period for this account. You can also do it in bulk, like say you want to do it for check account, for Westpac, so on and so forth. You can just tick them all and hit process. That's a good way of fixing the variances in your cash accounts, and you can compare that in by going to your cash account transactions. Sorry, you can see all your cash account transactions in here. If you select your cash account, you'll see the ending balance. And this ending balance is based off your start and end period. So next would be if you do need to do some reconciliation, you can do it from the reconciliation statements. To say I want to reconcile. So this obviously this is on hold. If I click on it, if you have your bank statement in your in your desk, you can match and tick everything that's in that statement. So say these transactions are in there, you can tick reconcile, tick reconcile, tick reconcile. If you feel that all these transactions are in your bank statements, that means you are that means that all of these transactions are reconciled with your bank statement, which is good. Instead of clicking them one by one, you can click on toggle reconcile, and that will just that will just tick everything. And then if you do need to untick some of them, you can just click on the line. Or if you want to untick them all, just click on toggle reconciled again, as well as toggle cleared. So yeah, so just for the purpose of this demo, just gonna reconcile these two and then copy this. So this is the field where you enter your bank statement balance. So just release. Sorry, these dates shows you the documents loaded. So this will auto populate based on the business date. But since this one has been recorded already in the past, we've selected this year. But just to show you how it's done, you just hit release. And then that's it. You've done with your reconciliation with your cash account. And then finally, you can go to close financial periods to close your banking module. Now this will default to the last financial year that hasn't been finalized or closed. So obviously this for the purpose of this demo is it's 2021 year. I can select if I want to close from 2021 to 2022, but most of the time it's just the same year if you're posting real or live transactions. Let's say I just want to close my July. I just hit process or process all to close all the periods in this financial year. If you want to see some unreleased documents, you can click unreleased documents. In this demo, there are no unreleased documents, which is good, which means I can close my financial period for banking module. So I'm just going to disregard what I've ticked here and click on process all. Sorry, so process all. So let's see how it looks like in the finance and manage financial periods. Most of our clients do it actually from the finance and manage financial periods instead of closing it per subledger. And the reason is because they're doing it on a monthly basis, which is really really good because that means they don't have to work on a lot of backlogs. So if I want to close my 2021 year, I can see that the CA module has been closed. And the CA module is your banking. And then from the receivable side of things, that's going to be the same. So just release all AR documents. And then just release all transactions. As mentioned, these periods are not relevant to what we're closing because we're closing 2021. So we can disregard that. And then then you can compare your AR balance by running this AR balance GL by GL account or your AR aging, and then compare it to your finance and then trial balance summary. Okay. The next would be finally closing the. Sorry, there's also recalculate in the receivables. Just to show you, say this BA Industries, I found some discrepancy in the balance for 02/2021 period, then I can just tick that and hit process. This means that I'm just refreshing the account balance for this customer. Okay, so that's done. If there are errors, that will show in the error field. Let's make this quick because we're almost out of time. So I'm just going to go to close financial period in AR, and I'm going to show you how it looks in the finance as well. So say I'm going to process this all because I'm happy with my AR. I'm going to close that. So that's done. If I go to finance, manage financial periods, and then close, I can see that it's also closed in AR and in the banking. Now in this demo, I do have some error in inventory when I tested it before the webinar. But that's to show you that it happens in reality. And what you need to do is just go to a specific document to say, I want to close my inventory. And then I want to close them all. So you can see that this inventory won't close because there are unreleased documents for April period. So there are production documents that exist. So they're not released yet. However, if I take that April and click on unreleased documents, it will give me this issue. So what I need to do is just, delete that. So click on it because obviously that's still on hold, which means it's stopping me from closing my inventory period. But let's not deal with that. But that's how you close your inventory as well. If you find some errors, just reach out to us and then we'll be happy to assist you. If you go to finance, manage financial period.
Sorry, Mark, there's another question from Susan. How does the system tell/report to you what those issues are?
So, well, it's very hard to answer that. Because typically,
Oh, sorry, she's replying. Janella's replying to one of her questions.
You want me to that? I'll just reply to Susan.
Okay. Cool.
Continue
So,
on.
all right. So I'm just gonna process my financial year. So if you do this, this will process everything in your income statements will go to your retained earnings, and then the balance sheet will be updated to the next financial year. So I'll hit process all and just close everything. So what we have left is the AP and fixed assets. So this is the error that we had in the inventory. So if we close this, so these are not closed. But since we're closing it in the finance module, the AP and other modules will also not be closed. So that's it. And then just the important financial reports that you need to run for the finance team to validate is the trial balance, and then obviously your balance sheet and your profit and loss. Now there are some customized reports as well that are essential to each businesses. So you can also run that and see if there's some issues with it and let us know. So do you have any other questions?
Mark?
Yep.
It's Narelle here from WO Project. I'm just curious about closing the entries and the impact of the accountant entries that we put through after they do the tax returns.
Yep.
So any adjustments that come back, so do we close it off end of year and then we reopen it to put those entries through?
Is that going to be included in your current year, or it's okay to post in the next period?
No, it would relate. So I haven't closed off our 24 yet because I wasn't quite sure of I'm still waiting on our accountant to come back with the entries. So any adjustments that he suggests. So this is just closing off our MYOB data, but then when there's some kind of changes required that he suggests, how do we go about doing those?
Depends really in your company policy if you decide to close the financial year. If you can't wait for your accountant. But if you think that they can provide it as soon as possible, say just beginning of the next period, then you can wait before you can close your financial year.
Okay.
But just make sure that you close those periods so no one posted that transactions.
Yeah, so this is just stopping any transactions being incorrectly dated, but we can still go in and make adjustments if necessary.
Yeah, you can. And as an administrator, you can always lock the periods so no one can post into that period. If that's already closed, then you can always reopen it and post the transactions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
No, just people sort of commenting on that they're waiting to really close it off. But as Mark said, you can close it and lock sessions, and then lock the periods, and then come back in and make adjustments.
Yep.
Just give you control.
Sorry, just before everyone go, when generating a new period for the next financial year, you just go to Master Financial Calendar, and then just hit Generate Calendar.
Are you sharing that, or
Resharing the screen.
Oh, am I not sharing? Sorry. Can you see it?
Yep.
Yep. So sorry, this is under Finance. Go to Master Financial Calendar, and this is where you generate your new financial year. Actually, you can generate from, say, 2026 to 2029. You can do that because you have control of your financial calendar, making them inactive so no one can post into it. It just helps you make things easier when it comes to generating financial calendar, because sometimes we've had issues where the finance user got sick, and he was unable to generate calendar for that. So the problem is the users were unable to post transactions into that period because there's no financial calendar year yet. So it's a good way of generating calendar, say for 3 years, 2 years. That depends on your policy. Okay, Adam, over to you.
Cool. All right. Well, no worries. Thanks. Has anyone got any last questions that they want to ask before we hang up?
Right. Perhaps I'm just going to share some tips and tricks perhaps before we end the discussion. So, yep. All right. So make sure that you do lock your periods before moving to the next financial period, or recalculate and validate balances. And Mark had described or explained the importance of it. If you have recurring transactions, you might need to do automation on that by doing recurring journals. You can use dashboards for quick checks, just like what Mark has earlier on his demo. Start early, so meaning start early in your reviewing your financials. You may also need to do a reconciliation regularly, especially for your bank accounts. It's a best practice to do your bank accounts on a monthly basis, at least. Some might have like weekly checks, and that's even greater. So also, if you have like adjustments, make sure that you attach notes and other documentation, especially for your correcting entries. And also, never forget to communicate cutoff dates. For some clients, they may have like 5 days cutoff, and then they close the period after then. So these are some tips and tricks that you might want to take home with you, right?
Cool. Well, look, we are a little bit over time, but if anyone has any questions, queries, or any feedback, they want to come off mute and say anything. But I did put in the chat earlier, just in regards to the MYOB Discover online sessions next Tuesday. MYOB will be demonstrating the new features that are coming into Acumatica, or some of the new features, not all of them. Some of the big ones for each sort of sort of business process. And they are also going to be talking about artificial intelligence. They are starting to partner with ThoughtWorks to bring in artificial intelligence into Acumatica. What does that mean? It means that you'll be able to do some really cool stuff, being able to create me a dashboard on top 10 customers or something like that. That's what was demonstrated earlier this year, is what they're trying to bring in artificial intelligence, as many systems are. So that'll be cool if they give us some demonstrations around what that might look like. But look, thanks for everyone that has attended. The session is recorded. It will be posted on our website. So if you do need to come back to it later on, please do. Or if not, reach out to us in support, and we'll be happy to help you out.